He was on an airplane, 59 years old, but he could be simultaneously, in the folds of memory, a quarter-century younger, in bed in Ohio, falling asleep. The house was still and going dark. Beside him, his wife slept on top of the comforter, legs splayed, her body giving off heat, as it always did. Their infant daughter was quiet across the hall. It was midnight. March, rain at the windows, and he had to be up at 5 the next morning. He listened to the click and patter of drops against the panes. His eyelids fell. In his dream, water swirled 3 feet deep in the street. From the upstairs window he was standing at it, palms against the glass. The neighborhood houses looked like a fleet of foundered arcs. Floodwater passed the first-floor sills, fences swallowed, saplings up to their necks. His daughter was crying somewhere. Behind him, the bed was empty and neatly made. Where had his wife gone? Boxes of cereal and a few dishes stood on the dresser. A pair of gumboots waited atop the stairs. He hurried from room to room, calling for his daughter. She was not in her crib or the bathroom or anywhere upstairs. He pulled on the boots and descended to the front hall. 2 feet of water covered the entire first floor, silent and cold, a color like milky coffee. When he stood on the hall carpet, the water was past his knees. His daughter's whimpering echoed strangely through the rooms, as if she were present in every corner. "Grace?" Outside, more water muttered and pressed at the walls. He waded forward. Pale spangles of reflected light swung back and forth over the ceiling. 3 magazines turned idly in his wake. A bloated roll of paper towels bumped his knee and drifted off. He opened the pantry and sent a wave rolling through the kitchen, jostling the stools. A group of half-submerged light bulbs, like the caps of tiny drifting skulls, sailed toward the refrigerator. He paused. He could no longer hear her. "Grace?" From outside came the sound of a motorboat passing. Each breath hung in front of him a moment before dispersing. The light was failing. The hairs on his arms stood up. He picked up the phone, the cord floating beneath it, but there was no dial tone. Something sour and thin was beginning to rise from his gut. He forced open the basement door and found the stairwell entirely submerged, lost beneath a foamy brown rectangle of water. A page from a calendar floated there, something of his wife's, a photo of a candy-striped lighthouse darkening and turning in the froth. He panicked. He searched for her beneath the hall table, behind the armchair, which was nearly afloat now. He looked in ridiculous places, the silverware drawer, a Tupperware bowl. He waded with his arms down, feeling below the surface, dragging his fingers along the floor. The only sounds were of his lower body splashing along and the smaller percussions of waves he'd made lapping against the walls. He found her on his third pass through the family room. She was in her bassinet, atop the highest shelf of his wife's plant stand, against the foggy window, her eyes wide, a blanket over her shoulders, her yellow wool cap on her head. Her blanket was dry. "Grace," he said, lifting her out. "Who put you up there?" Emotion flitted across her face, her lips tightening, her forehead wrinkling. Just as quickly, her expression eased. "It's okay," he said. "We'll get you out of here." He held her against his chest, waded through the hall, and dragged open the front door. Water sighed in from the yard. The street had become a clotted, makeshift river. The sugar maple on the Sachs' lawn was lying immersed across the street. Plastic bags, snagged in the branches, vibrated in the passage of water and sent up a high, unearthly buzzing, a sound like insects swarming. No lights were on. 2 cats he had never seen before paced a low branch of the front yard oak. Dozens of possessions were adrift. A lawn chair, a pair of plastic trash cans, a styrofoam cooler all slathered with mud, all parading slowly down the street. He waded down the steps of the front walk. Soon the water was to his belt, and he held Grace